compulsive need to use. And eventually, what ends up happening, unfortunately, and the way I always try to describe it to families that come to me because they're devastated. You know, their addiction is a family disease. I learned that my esteemed colleague here, Mr. Pecoraro. And it is a family disease. But what ends up happening is I try to explain to them that the behavior that you're seeing is symptomatic of the disease. And I think that's very important. It's not the person, it's not their character, it's not their moral stance. It's the fact that their behavior is a symptom of their disease.
The other thing I want to add, because I teach neurobiology of addiction, so I teach a lot of neurobiology and how the brain changes with the addiction. Number one, it's evident that when someone becomes addicted and starts using drugs regularly, their neural pathways change, number one. Number two, we've found that about 80% of all addicts have a co-occurring disorder. And what occurs if you do not treat both, it used to be called dual diagnosis, but we don't believe in that anymore. It's not a dual diagnosis, it's a co-occurring disorder because both disorders have to be treated at the same time. If the co-occurring disorder is not treated appropriately, the person will relapse. So we're looking at several things. We're looking at neurobiological changes. We're looking at a co-occurring disorder. And then, as a family member, one of the things that we have to realize is that we can't control them, we can't cure them, and we don't cause the disease.
We have that in meetings in AA.
Yeah.
But resources for the jobless. He's 32 years old, and I believe that the buying of the 90 oxycodone and then going and selling them is his business, but for all intents and purposes, he is jobless. What resources are there for him if he would make the choice to come? And just want to also point out to the attorney that it seems to me that the court-ordered probation doesn't work either, because he is on court-ordered probation. They called before they came. He is not staying where he is supposed to be staying. He is obviously not doing what he is supposed to be doing. So the system is broken in so many parts.
Absolutely. That is a topic that we could talk about for days on the criminal justice system. Now, unfortunately, why I even have this law firm that deals with this civil law that helps to divert people into treatment is because I was an ex-public defender, and I was so frustrated with the rotating door that was going on with people who were simply mentally ill and simply drug addicted going in and out of custody. You want to obviously try to get them before they get to that point. We used to call probation setting somebody up for failure if they were a drug addict. Because unfortunately, they weren't going to get any kind of treatment, which remember, Florida is not a treatment state. It is a punishment state when it comes to criminal justice. It is not a rehabilitation state.
So drug court. You went through drug court and did well for it.
Well, drug court's a different thing. And we are very progressive in the state of Florida with our drug courts, but they're still in their infancy right now. They're underfunded. The programs, obviously the Health and Human Services throughout the country have been slashed. So, these are great programs. Unfortunately, they lack the funding to operate, really to give the benefit to the most people. Remember, our prison population right now is over 75% non-violent drug offenders. And that's just horrific.
So what is the resource for?
Well, globally, you need to treat the first way you need to treat the client globally. It's a life change, it's not a diet. And that's what happens a lot of times. You get 28 days of in and out, boom, you're gone. And now you're stuck with, how do I live? Where do I live? What kind of job can I get? What do I do? They need, like for instance, they need a life change. They need an exercise program, they have to get rid of stress. They need all these different programs to learn how to deal with life on life's terms. Then they're also considered handicapped. So there's a lot of different programs out there that they can help them go back to school. They can get different funding for school. What we do at our place is we help them get jobs. We do vocational education assistance. We do job placement. We look at all the facets of being a human being. Not just that, oh, you're a drug addict, that's it. Once the drugs are gone, you'll be fine. No. Because it's a life change they need. Because they build a container around themselves Like, for instance, when you do drugs and alcohol, I'm a recovering addict. My friends did drugs, I dealt drugs, I did all these things was around my addiction. Now, when I got into recovery, I had to change my friends, I had to change everything because they changed my lifestyle. So that's what needs to be focused on, not just this, and the family members, and forgive me, but sometimes the family members are sicker than the client. And they enable, and they're, I mean, I can't tell you how many parents I had in my office that said, well, look, I want to give him this apartment, I want him to have a nice car, and maybe that'll help him to get his life in order. And I said, you're killing him. And then I told these parents once, I said, look, this kid's gonna die, you keep doing that. Oh, you don't understand. 2 weeks later, the kid died.
We know the enabler in our family, but it's not us, so.
Well, if you have one, that's one too many.
And as to the services that are available, counties do provide subsidized care. Like I said, oftentimes these facilities are stretched